How's it, everyone? Welcome to another string review right here on OpenCourt. So today I'm testing another new string that I've never tried before, but it is a variant of one of my favorite polyester strings. Today we're taking a look at the MSV Focus Hex Ultra. Let's check it out. So if you guys haven't checked out my review of the MSV Focus Hex, go give that a watch. It is one of in fact, it's my favorite polyester string, under $10. The Focus Hex Ultra comes in a little more expensive at about $11.99 a set, which is still pretty reasonable. It also comes in 5 gauges, as you can see here on the packaging, as thin as 110 all the way up to a 130, so there's a lot of choices for your gauge. And the string comes in 3 colors. The black and white are usually the most common. There's also a neon yellow version of this string. So as the name suggests, just like the original MSV Focus Hex, this Ultra is also a hexagonal 6-shaped sided string to grab the ball to impart spin. And lastly, what's the difference between the original Focus Hex and this Focus Hex Ultra? MSV has added some special additives to improve the feel and the comfort to allow this to provide a little bit more power and feel. It also comes with a special coating to reduce the string movement so it'll maintain its tension and snap back a little bit better. Alright, so I got the white color of the MSV Focus Hex Ultra strung up in my Babla Pure Strike 98 Wimbledon edition. I got it strung at 52 in the mains and 50 in the crosses. So I'm really excited to take this out on the court and try this because the Ultra is supposed to be a better playing version of my favorite budget poly. So let's get on the court and let's see how this plays. So starting out with the pros of the MSV Focus Hex Ultra, first I want to say that the Ultra and original Focus Hex don't have too many discernible differences. The one thing I did notice, however, was that the Ultra played more lively than the original, which was a welcome surprise. Now, before I go any further, I want to say that I've played both the white and black versions of the original Focus Hex. With the Ultra, I only tried the white. Color does make a difference in response, and white strings tend to play more lively than black, but regardless, the Focus Hex Ultra had that crisp feel that I look for in my strings. The reason I like crisp and lively polys is that every time I strike the ball, I feel I have pinpoint control as well as some pop to my shots, which gives me the confidence to swing aggressively and trust my game. I also like the feedback for touch and feel shots like drop shots and angles. The Ultra gave me better command of those types of shots than original Focus Hex. I could paint the lines with my ground strokes and short angles, as well as carve up the court with my slices and volleys. The shaped sides really grabbed the ball, and I could push them volleys and slices near the baseline. The grip of the string kept those slices low and skidding. I'm an offensive player who likes to utilize touch and field-oriented shots, such as angles, drop shots, slices, and aggressive corner shots. I felt a lot more connected on these shots with the Focus Hex Ultra than the original, and that was what I was hoping for. Next, something I want to address. I read other people's reviews on the Focus Hex Ultra, and many of them said this string was stiff and more control-oriented. That's the reason why a lot of those other people like it. I'll be honest, I didn't quite find that to be the case. The Ultra is not a soft string by any means. I actually think this is somewhat on the stiffer side, but I didn't find it stiff and uncomfortable either. It was comfortably firm and solid, which is exactly the type of response I look for. I did feel the control on this string was great, but the surprise here was the power level. I especially noticed the power on my serves. The flat serve was easily my favorite part of this playtest. I admit there could be other factors such as the racket I was using or that I changed my service form a little recently, but my first serves not only went in at a much higher clip than usual, but I was also forcing return errors on many points. I've had issues with consistency with my flat serve recently, but with the Focus Hex Ultra, I have never felt more confident in my flat serve. I even attempted a few flat serves on my second serve, and to my surprise, many of them went in. You know a string gives you confidence when you serve flat on second serves because it's a low percentage. My flat serves were easily the biggest surprise, but the slice and kick serves were also amazing with the Focus Hex Ultra. The string really grips the ball on slice serves. Combined with the slight boost in the power, I saw my slice serves sliding away from my opponents and I forced weak returns with ease. On the kickers, the sharp edges of the Ultra pull the ball down inside the sidelines and corners. I don't usually notice the downward trajectory of my own kick serve, but I definitely noticed the ball diving down inside the service line and kicking up with some force. It wasn't the greatest kick serves I've hit, but it was enough to be able to approach the net or set up my partner. The Focus Hex Ultra has a good mixture of spin and control. Usually these two facets go hand in hand. The spin brings the ball down inside the lines well enough, which allows players to get the control necessary to swing big. This was absolutely the case with this string. The Focus Hex Ultra doesn't have a lot of string displacement, so I didn't feel the ball sliding on the strings as much as other strings with more movement. But the spin level was admirable. It wasn't terrific, but it was still good. The spin was definitely most noticeable on slices. The shaped sides really grabbed the ball and I could push them deep near the baseline. The grip of the string kept those slices low and skidding, and I definitely noticed the spin more on slices than on the topspin shots, which I'll get to later. And lastly, the tension maintenance was very good. There is an initial break-in period, but once that passes, the strings stiffen up a bit and it really unlocks that perfect blend of power, control, and feel. I believe this Ultra version holds tension better than the original Focus Hex. That's saying a lot because the original Focus Hex has very good tension maintenance. This is one of the few polys I would probably play with until it breaks, and there aren't many of those out there. Now let's move into the cons. There aren't many. In fact, there was only one real issue I had with this string, and that is the break-in period at the beginning. When the Focus Hex Ultra was fresh, I had a very hard time controlling the power because of the uncharacteristically high launch angle on my ground strokes. I especially struggled on my forehand return of serves. The strings weren't quite snapping back at the beginning, so a lot of my forehand returns sailed well past the baseline. When I was in a heated baseline exchange, I ended up sailing many forehands long too when I got too excited. I definitely had to focus on coming over the ball more at the beginning. On the contrary, I love the fresh feeling of these strings on my backhands. Because my backhands are naturally less powerful, the early spring in the string allowed me to hit heavy backhands easily. But once the playtest wore on, my backhand became less powerful, but my forehand became more reliable. So that's an even trade. On my return games, instead of going for the big return winner, I resorted to placement and depth to work my way up to the net to win the point. Next, the spin level wasn't as high as I had hoped. It definitely has a respectable amount of spin, but I noticed that the ball rotation was much more prevalent on slices than on topspin ground strokes. This string notches and doesn't have the string movement and snapback of something more elastic. I think that's the other reason I sent so many of my aggressive forehands long. I wasn't getting that last second dip that something like Tour Bite, Lynx Tour, or V-Torque Tour gave me. Again, the spin was good, but it was just short of excellent. And lastly, I just want to mention that the Focus Hex Ultra is probably stiff for people with sensitive arms. I actually thought these strings had a decent amount of give and pocketing, but for the most part this string is on the stiffer side, so I would advise caution if you have any sort of arm problems. So who is the MSV Focus Hex Ultra for? Well, to put it simply, if you like original Focus Hex, you will also like this Ultra version because it feels slightly more crisp and lively. That is exactly what I wanted out of original Focus Hex, and I was very happy with it. This string is for players who want a good mix of power, spin, feel, and control. I actually think the Focus Hex Ultra is above average in all of these areas. Maybe the spin and control isn't quite at the level of Tour Bite or Hyper G, but it gets the job done, and at around $12 a set, that is a bargain. The multiple gauge options will also allow players to achieve the results they want. More control and durability, go thicker. More feel, power, and spin, go thinner. I tried the 120mm because that is usually the gauge I like, but for this particular string, if I were to use it again, I would try the 125mm because I want a little more control on my forehands to keep the ball inside the lines. I would also string a little lower to keep the good power and put it into a slightly more open pattern to get the spin. So I've really liked every MSV string I've tried so far. They don't have a vast library of strings like other brands, but I definitely will get around to trying more strings from MSV, or as they call it, Mauve Sports, in the future. Thank you for watching this review of the MSV Focus Hex Ultra right here on OpenCourt. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an OpenCourt.